Wow. Good morning. Welcome in. We've had some crazy weeks on this show the last 22 years. I'm not sure we've ever experienced anything like the last couple of weeks. Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss, and the way it all shook out, because he had a college football playoff team. If they were going to the Outback Bowl, nobody gives a damn. You know, I mean, if you're going to the Music, those are fun for the kids, and I love it. But nobody cares if you're going to the Music City Bowl. You're going to the college football playoff. But he couldn't say no to the best job in America. And I've said over and over on this show for years, not just when this was playing out. Y'all have heard me say it. LSU, Georgia, Ohio State. Those are the jobs. In my opinion, everybody's different. Those are mine. LSU, Georgia, Ohio State. And Lane Kiffin is now the head football coach at LSU. And they just got serious about the football business. The Out of Bounds show is brought to you by USA Pawn. They are the experts in buying and selling silver and gold. Call Nick Fulton today at USA Pawn, usapawn.com, 6 locations in the metro area. We welcome in Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. And Mike D joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Mike D, when did you know for sure that Lane was coming to LSU?
Like everybody else. It's, you know, we've talked about it on this show for maybe a month. He was the guy from day one that LSU officials basically had targeted as being the guy. But you never know with Lane. And I'm doing LSU pregame Saturday morning, and we got there fairly early. Herb Tyler, the former LSU quarterback, and I, and we working the phones, and LSU felt very confident that they had a really good offer in place, but they hadn't got an answer yet. And so it was like this, okay, we really believe in it, and that had been all week long that, you know, people involved with LSU really felt confident. But you don't know till you know with Kiffin because of his past. And they were, we pretty sure, but they would give you that but. And these are people that are involved with it. And but they felt very confident throughout the week that they had an offer in place that Lane would take. So, but he was the guy from day one. And boy, I can't tell you how many people would send me stuff about, man, I got some good inside information. Nick Saban's going to be the new coach. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Nick's already said it. Then Nick actually, Coach Saban came to town to talk in front of an AI conference. Okay. And they paid him pretty good change for that. I got hundreds of people. He was in town. Yeah, he was in town because they paid him to talk at an AI conference. It wasn't to be at LSU. But, you know, finally it went down, and we were pretty certain Sunday morning that it was a done deal. But listen, for anybody to tell you they knew, and nobody really knew because of Kiffin's past with kind of flirtations with, you know, schools and actually getting it done. But throughout the week, LSU officials that were involved felt confident that they had an offer that he would accept.
Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by Sound and Communications. If your business or school needs a video wall, it's powered by soundcomav.com. All right, Mike D. So Lane is now at LSU. He's going to win. He's going to win big. It's just a matter of how big. What do you hear? Like yesterday, do you think that everything that played out the last few years with Brian Kelly, do you think it made the powers to be at LSU get their ducks in a row and say, it's time for us to get locked in and loaded and get back to winning big-time football, Mike?
I don't know about getting their ducks together. I'm not really sure about that particular part. I think, you know, the financial part, they've got people here that have tremendous amounts of money that they can put up this deal. and also for the NIL transfer portal. They knew that was important in a highly ultra competitive world. This is not about the blue bloods anymore. I hear it, and, my old friend Matt Moscona, that we going back to that. My thing is, Matt and I worked a long time together, but we disagree on this. Would you consider Indiana a blue blood in football? Would you consider Texas Tech a blue blood in football? Look what Vanderbilt's done. Look, Ole Miss is 11-1. So, you've got to be tremendously competitive. And to have that type money to go out, Brian Kelly did not want to embrace NIL transfer portal until last season. He was totally, I shouldn't say totally. He wasn't all in with it. And he basically felt, I'm going to build this roster 90% on high school players. That's not the reality of college football today. You're going to have to be involved in filling in deeper spots with transfer portal people. I do think the one huge advantage, I spoke about this 2 weeks ago on one of the shows I'd done on WWL, and it got brought up to me because someone actually offered me a commercial job. I do a few, and I'm selective on which ones I do, and he offered tonight. But he talked about brand, and I equated it to what LSU has today, brand. And it, for most people, you're a certain age, you maybe do a little bit on social media, if it's Facebook or Instagram or X. But, we live in that world where younger people are much more involved in TikTok or Threads or you name it. And look at the brand LSU has put out there. And it's overwhelming. You think about former stars at LSU that have made it in the media, like Marcus Spears, Ryan Clark, Andrew Whitworth. Even an LSU cheerleader, my friend Jen Hale, who's with Fox now today, not only a Fox sideline reporter, but also works for Fox News. Shaq O'Neal. And you think about the Honey Badger, Odell Beckham Jr., Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jaden Daniels, Jamar Chase, Livy Dunn, who's, gymnast, Paul Skeens, the baseball pitcher, Angel Reese in women's basketball, and, Mondo Duplantis, the greatest pole vaulter of all time. Maybe not so commercial-wise here in the States, but, they pay him a ton of money to be at events, and he's doing a ton of commercials in Europe. That he's in commercials a lot in the European world, and Lolo Jones, the sprinter. And when he talked to me about brand, I started to think about that. What other school can have that variety of people in all different facets of sports and are sort of household names? LSU's in a unique situation because, okay, if you're in your 30s, 40s, or beyond, that maybe doesn't make a big deal to you. But if you're a 16, 17-year-old athlete being recruited, and you know what you're going to get, NIL money, and, okay, it's all going to be fairly close, where can I sell my brand? That's where LSU pulls away. Look at that list of names and what they've been able to do and how they've been able to market themselves. Bo, how many schools can say that? Very, very few.
No doubt.
Can do it like what LSU has. And I do believe that certainly played a part in it with Lane, along with, I think, having that NIL money and being in the spotlight in a state that has either finished first or second per capita in producing NFL players 9 out of the last 12 years. And in the 3 years they didn't finish 1 or 2, they were 3 or 4. So, man, you understood it. The money was all going to be the same for him, basically, financially, if he stayed at Ole Miss or he went to Florida. But the brand and the amount of money that they promised him in the NIL world, I think, led him to this decision. And I think LSU knew that and played up to it. It's something I've heard Bill Goldring say quite a bit. Bill is the owner of Sazerac here in Louisiana. He's a multi-billionaire. He's worth about $6 billion, so he got a few nickels. And he says, one of the things that you get when you become somebody in life, you get criticism. And he said, you think about, every day, we'll get somebody send us something about, you don't know what you're doing. You have no idea how to run a business, and you just talk through your mouth. And he says, most of these people don't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out. Look at my bank account. And so, okay, he's in his 80s. He doesn't have a lot of filter in life.
No,
but he said it's our brand. It's our brand of Sazerac that sells us. And so, Mr. Goldring's right about that particular deal, And so, Lane's used the criticism, and he's going to get it.
Sure.
And all his endings have all been messy. And he's going to leave LSU, too.
Sure.
Okay.
For the NFL.
The reality, that's reality.
But you're right. And look, if he gives LSU 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, wins a title, lives in the college football playoffs, when the Cowboys or the Giants or the Bears or whoever the hell it is calls in a few years, LSU will be hurt, but they'll also be like, oh, wow, that was great. We won a bunch of games and a national title or maybe more.
I think one of the things, Bo, and you bring up a good point, if it's a 5-year run or a 6-year run, the hatred toward Lane, and I get it, some fans, they're going to be upset about it. But you can be upset, but there's another part of being upset with something. It's fear. And not when Nick Saban left LSU to go to Miami. Most people at that time felt, okay, he wanted to chase the NFL dream. It's when Coach Saban decided to leave Miami and go to Alabama. That's when the real hatred and dislike for Coach Saban got into LSU fans. But part of that hatred is fear that my program won't be the same without him, and I know what he can do, and I got to face him every year. Yeah. And I think we're going through the exact same thing when Nick decided to leave Miami and go to Alabama. Man, Louisiana people were apoplectic about it. But how could he go to Alabama? You can go anywhere else, but not Alabama, because they knew if he goes there, he's going to do to that program what he did to LSU, which was a middle-of-the-road program at best in the SEC before he took it over. And they win a national title, and they would have probably won a number of them had he stayed. And then he has the greatest run in college football history in our lifetime, in an ever-changing world of college athletics. It changes so quickly today, and it's not going to go back. You get them, I get them. People call, text, man, I want to be back to when my grandpa and I used to watch this, or my dad watched this, and okay, it's not going back. It's just going to be changing ever so much,
right? And
you better change with it.
That's right.
Either that, or you're going to get left behind. Ed Oshawa told me that 3 weeks ago when we had him on. Either you change or you step it back. And I expect Coach O will get a job with Lane Kiffin he'll be on the staff. And so, again, and Lane even brought him up in the press conference.
I saw that.
He hasn't been offered yet. I did speak to him yesterday. He has not been offered anything yet, but I think there's been some talks there. And I expect Coach O will be on that staff with Lane Kiffin. He knows a thing or two about the state of Louisiana.
Oh, man, everything that went on behind the scenes with Lane and LSU and Florida and even Ole Miss. Mike Detillier, LSU Insider, WWL Radio TV New Orleans, powered by your next video wall, brought to you by Sound and Communications for your business or school. Mike, when Saban went all in on game day Saturday morning, I mean, I think we all thought it was happening.
Yep.
But when he went all in, and he kind of pivoted on what he had been saying, but obviously he's represented by CAA too. But when he just bottom lined it to which school gives you the best opportunity to get the best players, you knew it was curtains, Mike.
It was the final card to go down. And he sort of indicated something similar the week before. So you could see where this was moving. And I think that's the moment that most people at LSU felt, hey, we got things really momentum-wise moving in our direction, because there was a point in this where they were concerned that maybe Florida had really heavily invested themselves, and maybe that would be his destination. But it changed pretty quickly. And again, it was with Lane, you never know until it's signed, until it's done. And, that was the thing, because you could predict it. And again, almost from day one, we had heard from everybody involved in the process that Lane's the guy. But the thing about it, it always came with a but. Let me explain the other part. And so, you get it. That's just the way Coach Kiffin's going to be. And eventually he's going to leave LSU, and it's not going to probably be pretty either, and he's going to go to the NFL. But as you pointed out, if he lasts 5 or 6 years there, you win your national championship, you end at that top 12 or top 16, whatever it's going to be every year or almost every year, then I think, hey, it's worth it. You had your run. He's perfect for the state of Louisiana because he's quirky. He's going to do things his own way. And that's like a lot of people here in the state of Louisiana. I will be honest. I've lived here all my life. I can tell you. Well, most of my life.
Oh, man, this is going to be wild. I mean, he's now at a blue blood top 3 program. For me, it's LSU, Georgia, Ohio State. Lane's there. This machine, they kind of trip over 9 wins even when don't have it together. Can you imagine what he's going to do with the offense and quarterback and everything else?
I'm interested in the staff defensively.
Me too.
I think that's going to be the key for him to take this, because I do know Blake Baker, and there was a report yesterday that he agreed to stay. There's a caveat to that. I think that there was kind of a nod, wink, wink kind of deal that he would stay, but he is a guy that is heavily in tow for the Tulane job.
Right.
You've got to remember, Blake Baker was a former. That's the first time I met Blake. He was a linebacker at Tulane. And so, and that's the other part of the story. The most successful coach here in the state of Louisiana, he leaves to take the Florida job. And so I did let him know, and he is going to be on with me this afternoon. He did let me know.
Nice.
Yeah, he said I'll be on with you like I normally am on Tuesday. So, and this would not have been on the dance card for me in the first week of September. That Lane Kiffin would be at LSU. That Tulane would, John Sumrall, and what he's done this year is unbelievable to get the double-digit wins on a team that lost so much from a year ago. And Marshall Falk, one of the greatest football players ever from the state of Louisiana, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Now he's the head coach at Southern University. His press conference got a little bit overshadowed yesterday because of Kiffin. So that's crazy here in the state. Marshall's only coached 1 year as an assistant coach at Colorado. and now the head coach at Southern University.
He was my favorite player when he was playing. Oh.
Marshall, one of the greatest all-purpose backs ever, and one of the greatest backs ever. And so, you know, and he knows the state, and he also feels, you know, that the staff is going to be important to him because he doesn't have a lot of experience coaching, only 1 year as the running backs coach for Prime out in Colorado. So, man, we got a lot to cover over the next few years.
Do you?
Some really big time personalities, certainly with Marshall Faulk and now Lane Kiffin, and we'll see what happens. Does Blake Baker become that guy at Tulane, or do they go for someone with head coaching experience? Because I think there's a couple people out there that they had their eyes on also who have more head coaching experience, which Blake doesn't have at this point. But being a former Tulane linebacker and knowing the area, he certainly has a legitimate shot at that job.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that Marshall Faulk took the Southern
yesterday
job.
It was 2:00 yesterday afternoon. He got the job at Southern. He had a presser at 2, and Lane's was supposed to be at 3:30, and we carried it live on WWL radio.
I bet you did.
It was almost 4:00 before it cranked up, but that's the norm for things of that sort. But Falk and Kiffin, same day in the state of Louisiana.
Wow. All right, we'll leave it there. But I mean, basically from now, there's no telling how many Mike Detillier, Lane Kiffin conversations we're going to have. Because
you mean today? Yeah, it'll be quite a bit.
Oh man. He is going to turn Louisiana upside down. And with the Saints losing, they needed this. And so they're going to get all juiced up, fired up, and so on. And then he'll land a great portal class and blah, blah. The rest is history. All right, Mike D, have a super week. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Bo. Thank you.